afternoon of our gathering. It's been quite a journey. We were just talking about it while I was getting sacrificed. How this has been quite a journey full of discovery, sometimes frustration, sometimes pain, but also with a lot of joy. I hope we can continue that joy as we will go back into the world soon, and as we'll prepare to spread our light there, and probably in a completely different way than we have done so before. I hope that everything that we have done together in the last few weeks, actually, for some people, has been life-transforming, has been empowering. And I also want you to know that we are still opening that special part of the website for all of you, basically, not just to have your names on there and to have your info on there, but also have extra information available as it comes out, which means that every time we'll do one of these seminars, we'll also put some of the recordings on the archives so that you can have the extra information if you want to work with this material. So what remains now is a last Ekaraya, and after that we're gonna do the, well, not the statements, but the ascension stories, or the ascension stories. I'm really looking forward to that and to see what you all did with that, because it should be a beautiful moment as you share how your old life is ending and your new life is just beginning. So I hear Brenda's gonna sing, and I'm gonna do a little journey before we get started. So let's relax again. Just close your eyes if you want. Let's focus on the color purple. Very simple color, but there are shades in there, different types of purple, and they are around you, these colors. They're coming out of you, these colors. Many, many different shades, most of which you haven't seen on planet Earth. What is the color telling you? It's coming out of you, so it is a part of you. What is it bringing you? That color, that vibration of purple. There's a meaning there, there's a significance, a story, but not the stories that the mind makes. This color is a story of the heart. So I invite you to go into that story. Feel what a non-linear, non-mental story is all about. It's not about words. It's not about people. It's not about places. It's not about events. Not about fears. It's not about desires. So move through those things. It's just mist, fog that you can move through until you end up in the heart of the color purple. What happens if you take that color, purple, and you bring it back into this room, into this world? It was there somewhere in another dimension, What happens if you bring it back here with you? If you radiate that vibration of purple? It's changing the room. It's changing the room around you, isn't it? It's perfusing the chair you are in, and it's seeping into the floor now, and into the walls, into the lighting system, so that the lights are turning purple as well. All of a sudden you realize that this isn't just a color that you brought back. It is a world. It is a universe. And it's coming out of you. And it's all around you in this room. And you see, as you learn how to distinct vibration, that this color isn't just a color, it isn't just a world. There are beings in there. Beings in that color. And they're not physical, they're just awareness. They're all around you. And they're telling you that they can help you because they are part of you. They can help you go into your brain, into your mind. And if you will allow these energies to go into your mind, the color of purple, and its awareness, its liveliness, its softness, if this goes into the brain, we'll follow that color into the brain. It goes into the third brain, in the center of the head. And you see that prison, the prison of the mind, where millions and millions and millions little aspects of you are trapped. They are trapped because you have defined every second of your life. But this color, this energy, this awareness, it just melts everything away. So all these aspects of you, in all these little cells, these prison walls, they're melting away. First, it just starts to happen on the outside, the edge of the prison. You feel what is happening to you as parts of you are once again reattaching themselves to you in their neutrality. For that is what the color is doing. It's turning everything fluid, everything neutral. And the walls melt away. And thousands and thousands and thousands of little pieces of you are becoming one again with you. And as that happens, thoughts and memories start to fade away. At first it feels scary because you are so attached to those memories, But now, you know that those memories are just definition. And they belong to you. But they belong to you in a neutral state. So let these memories become neutral again because of the color purple and those beings in there. Call them angels, if you will. And let those aspects blend. And all of a sudden, there is no more separation between any part of you. The past, the now, and your desires and your fears for the future, all blending again with you. And there is a softness, because all of a sudden you notice that because of this blending, other colors start to come out of you. You recognize these colors, although you've never seen them in your life. It is your brilliance, your radiance. And now you know that you've seen those colors at one point in your life, but you've never seen them with your eyes. You've seen them as you were playing with the dolphin. Then all these colors were there, remember? And as you were playing with the whale and with the sea turtle, and as you were holding a small child in your arms, or when you laid eyes on all those people that you love for the first time. That is the essential beauty of the color purple. Enjoy. And so it is. Welcome, Imzaia, family, friends. I am Ekara, sovereign servant of free energy. And you must feel the difference of the frequency of energy that I am emitting now with regards to these other times that we have met in the last few days. This has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. Have you felt the beauty that you have created here in this room in the last 10 minutes? It's not about the words that were spoken about the color purple by Jeshua. It's not about the singing, although the singing was wonderful. Thank you. It's not about the music, although the music is wonderful. It's about what these frequencies, the frequency of the words, the frequency of the song, and the frequency of the music have activated within you. And let's not forget the frequency of that color, purple, that you were working with just mere minutes before I started my teaching. These elements put together, vibration of a word, of a tone, of a chord, and of a color. These things alone have the ability to bring from within you a power of transformation that is grander than anything that you have ever seen in your lives. Actually, I must admit, it was a tad difficult for me to begin speaking just a few minutes ago, because you see, the energy that you had created here was so perfect. Perfect in its stillness, perfect in its totality, that it would be difficult for me to add something to that. So unfortunately, I had to break the moment at the time I had to start speaking. But you see where free energy can lead you then. You see that free energy has the ability to fill up a space with so much harmony and balance that there is nothing else needed, nothing else. And that is the power of creation. That is the power of fullness, the power of artistry. My dear good brother Tobias told you a long time ago that you were becoming new energy artists. Well, just now, you have shown a sample of that artistry. And again, it's not about the external environment that created this for you. It is about the internal environment that manifested this from within you. You see? That is the power of you as a creator. That is the power of the I am. And it can touch hearts. It can connect worlds. It can make one that which previously has been separated. And on the topic of separation is that I wish to speak right now. It's what I promised you last time that I was here, so I will continue this right now. Might get a little bit scientific, but don't worry. Your Akene and your hearts have the ability to follow. As I spoke about separation yesterday, and as some others, such as Kutumi, also spoke about a similar topic and the underlying guilt that was there, the question that you could ask is, if this is so, if this separation and this type of guilt is indeed a part of our lives, and if we are letting ourselves be guided and steered by it, then how can we get away from it? What do we need to do to get away from it? What action is required? For you see, the question of how is always about bringing in something external into the self. It's a very different question if you speak about what can I do, because then you are speaking about action. You are finding out what you need to undertake your action. And that's what it's about, really. We can give you all the recipes if you want that you want. If you don't cook, you're never going to get fed. Right? You need to be the ones that are cooking. It's the way it is. So what can you do to make sure that separation is a concept that no longer lives within your world, within your reality, within your universe? First of all, it is necessary to consider this separation issue a conceptual thing. It is nothing but a concept. And that goes for anything in reality. It is nothing but a concept. If you see something then beyond the conceptual, it is never going to be possible for you to work with that item, because that is the boundary between non-definition or the undefined and the defined. The conceptual arena is the boundary for this. Everything that remains present within the neocortex as such has the ability to change. Everything that ends up in the third brain or lower no longer has that ability. It's impossible, because you have put it in the reality of the brain. That's the difference between the neocortex and the third brain. It's the only difference. It asks that the third brain creates memories, memory engrams that are used to generate your thoughts, yes? But the memory engrams you see are real. They are literally stored somewhere in the physical world, namely in your brain. So if you have a memory, or if you have a thought, a concept which you have manifested into reality, like the chair you are sitting on, actually what you have done is you have put it in your third brain, where it is a actual physical presence, an imprint on your human brain. The neocortex, however, works differently. Have you ever noticed how it is difficult to remember your dreams in the morning, and how if you wake up, those dreams are going to be gone quickly? You might remember them for a couple of minutes, but if you don't speak about them to somebody, or if you don't write them down, you're gonna forget them. Same thing goes for your fantasy. You might have beautiful fantasies about many a splendor thing, but those fantasies will soon be gone from the brain. And sometimes you will have these times in your life where you have a wonderful idea just pop in the brain, it seems, at night. And you think, tomorrow I'm going to make this work. Tomorrow I'm going to put this into action. And you go to sleep and you wake up and the idea is completely and utterly gone. can't find it. And if you find it again, you just have bits and pieces which will never ever mirror the beauty of the original thought. Yes? That means that those dreams, those fantasies, and those ideas are not born within the third brain. They are born right here, in the neocortex. The difference between the neocortex and the third brain is that the neocortex has no memory engram process. It doesn't store anything. It is just a blender of energies that is continuously creating, continuously sprouting forth idea, concept, dream after dream after dream. As such, it is tapped into the field of potential. The third brain no longer has that connection because it basically is only available within the 3D world, and all the potentials that might have manifested are already made manifest. So it just stores. Your hard drives on your computers, no matter how big man might make them, will only be that, storage containers. They will never generate a dream, a thought, or an idea. The only thing about your computers that actually do dream are the crystals that are located there in the motherboard. They do dream. They have fantasy. That is why your computer goes haywire sometimes. Because these crystals also like to play, like humans do, like everything that is conscious does, you see. But the third brain, or the hard drive of your computer, hasn't got that option. It can't activate potentials to it. It can't. Only the neocortex. So then, if the third brain does this, then this is a space of separation. You see? It's a space of separation. Neocortex is a space of unity, because all it does is generate totality. When you get a fantasy, or when you get a concept in your head, you might sometimes just see the first step. But right there, in the energy of that creation, of that concept, is everything that you need to make manifest that dream. Artists and sculptors, they know this. Painters, they know this. Writers, they know this. And actually they trust that process. Otherwise, they would never begin a new work of art, or a new novel, or whatever. They would never do that, because it would be crazy for them to do that. It would take too long a time, if you really think about it, to make a painting or to work on a book. You really must have some trust, otherwise you never think you're going to be able to finish it. And you don't even know where to finish when you start. But in there, in that notion, in that thought, in that concept, there is all energy available to you. Because again, it is akineic energy that is running through the neocortex. It's not akineic energy that is running through the third brain. So what happens then with any thought that is original? We have the mental or linear energy, once again. And we have that wonderful, wonderful creation you would call the akenaic energy. Now, linear or mental energy running through the third brain is just all the time creating little grooves, which you would call thoughts or memories. And it is doing it second after second after second after second. Basically speaking, the hard drive on your computer, your brain, is constantly saving information to it. It is this information that you are calling your memory. And you base it on that aspect of your reality that you have actually experienced. So, in short, that means your 3D events, your meekly manifested potentials. Because all that has been made manifest is what you see in the 3D world. The brain never saves an energy process. The brain doesn't save what it feels like to feel a hug. You know how a hug or a moment of love is saved in the brain? It isn't just saved here in the third brain. It goes right into the akene. Because all the brain would save right here is me plus Wilma, I'll just use a name. Me plus Wilma exchange a hug. It will be very factual. Me plus Wilma plus hug. And what will it do? It will connect to Wilma all those other thoughts, all those other experiences that I and Wilma have ever shared. That's the way it works, Wilma. But if you were to go back to that thought, if a computer would ever have the ability to store the human memory onto a hard drive, and as such to make the soul immortal, as some science fiction writers would think, then if you were to be activated within that computer, all you could remember from that hug is the process. The fact that the muscles were tensing up to use the arms and everything. But you would not store or remember the feeling. The feeling is never stored in the third brain. And as such, mental energy, or the third brain, is basically Akash energy. Remember, it's been a long time that we spoke about that. But I heard you, Martine. Akenaic energy then. The neocortex works with this, as we just said. How come you feel good when you remember the hug you got from Wilma? Not about the memory anagrams, that's not the one doing it. There is a connection between the third brain, and let's call this the fourth brain, which is the neocortex. There we go. Which is the neocortex. There is an immediate connection between this brain and that brain. Because when this hug is brought back up from the depth of memory, the depth of the experience, the brain hasn't stored the feeling. Because the feeling isn't 3D. The feeling that is experienced when that hug was exchanged is not a 3D experience. It is an infinite experience, and when the hug was exchanged. What was felt was a divine, infinite, loving energy. But the energy, and I'm going to disappoint many people now, the energy that was exchanged actually has nothing to do with Wilma and me. It has to do with divinity. It is divine energy that you have an access to at all points. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, saying, oh, hugging that person makes me feel so good and we share such a beautiful connection, but hugging her, oh my God, I'm not talking to you, darling. Hugging her just gives me the chills. No, it doesn't give you the chills. It is just that the mind is allowing a different connection to divinity at that point. So what happens when the hug is exchanged? In linearity, it is just stored in the Akash as a memory, very factual. What was there in the room? What was I wearing? What was she wearing? What were we doing? Etc., etc., etc. But actually, to have the feeling of love, you need akaneic energy. Akaneic energy, coming obviously from the akane and being stored in that which was a long time ago named as the akonai. Remember, the akonai is the counterpart to the Akashic record. The Akashic record, which can only save factual information, while the akonai is not a hard drive, it is more of a source. It is a source that is constantly emitting love, universal love. And as you know, from universal love comes universal joy, and in the end, it leads to universal freedom. So this akonaic source is constantly emitting a field of magnetics, because you know that magnetics is the energy that you feel as love here on planet Earth. Okay? So what happens if I remember this hug? Actually, I access those memories, and at the same time there is a link up to divinity, to source, where again that similar feeling of love is created. It's taken, goes right into the now moment. Let's say this is the now moment, this right here. And although the hug with Wilma might have been here on the timeline, what akaneic energy does at that point is it just sends the sensation from then back to this point in the timeline. Because to the akaneic energy there is no beginning, middle or end. You see? All is one in the akaneic source. This means that your love, that you are feeling for the people around you, has nothing to do with the people around you. It only has to do with you. It has to do with your source. And it is the mind that is telling you that that person feels differently than that person. That's the mind doing that, because the mind is constantly also creating desire and creating fear and creating judgment and creating definition. Akaneic energy, or the akonai, is not doing that. What does this have to do with the concept of separation? Well, basically everything. Let's imagine a situation. Let's imagine that on this point of the timeline, Wilma might die. I don't want Wilma to die, but it might happen. You know, the ego and everything might create an end to the period of the time that she was on this earth. Ego might do that at one point, if you're not careful. So, what the mind will do then is remember what a beautiful person Wilma was, and how much I loved her, and how wonderful those hugs actually felt. But I me, the time is gone, and I can never feel that hug again. Again, I remind you, the feeling, the love, wasn't coming from that which the ego has created. The body, the personality, the identity. That was not where the love was coming from. The love was coming from divinity. And if you feel the notion of separation come up on the point of death and everything thereafter, created by the exit point of Wilma, you are basically not allowing Source to flow through you. You are not allowing divinity to flow through you. Because if you would, at any given moment, when after here, the point of death, you were to access the memory of Wilma again, and that hug, if you were to access that right here in the timeline, then it would be a little feat for Akaneic energy and Source and divinity and that which is calling itself I Am Awareness to bring that same moment right here. Because Akaneic energy is constantly going back and forth through everything of time and space, and as such, nothing, not one feeling, not one word of love, not one thing that you ever experienced in the timeline is ever gone. It is constantly flowing through you at all times. And actually, for the sake of your 3D mind, I am warping this information a little bit. Actually, things are even different. Actually, it even isn't so that when at this point, here in the timeline, after Wilma's death, you are activating the memory of Wilma, it is not so that the Akaneic energy has to take that memory or that feeling from any other place in the timeline. All it needs to do is activate itself, really. You see, because the feeling of love is universal. And it is all around you. It is a scientific and energetic truth. And I'm trying to point out something here. What I am trying to say is that there is really no separation. And if you believe in the power of separation, then you are denying your own divinity. Then you are denying the complete connection to your own Source, which is always there with you. But you must know that whatever you are feeling, when you are hugging someone, or loving someone, or even when you are enjoying good food, it isn't a feeling coming from the form. It is a feeling that is coming from you. And that is very important for the rest of what I have to say. Because if the feeling is coming from you at any given point in the now, No matter who you are hugging, no matter what pleasure you are experiencing, no matter how good you may feel or how bad you may feel, because the bad things aren't coming from you, actually, they are coming from the creation of mind. But no matter what you are doing, it is you. It is always you. So, how could you then see the notion of separation in link to the illusion of form? What form will do to you, what the illusion of separation, how that will link into the illusion of form, is it will separate you not from the shape that you see in front of you, but from your own source. And that is why you are thinking that you need something from the other. Because you have been separated from your own form, which is infinity, which is divinity. Do you see this? It is very imperative to understand that all that the illusion of separation is doing to you is keeping you away from your own form and scattering all that you are in an illusionary field all around you. And it shows up, or the mind makes you believe it shows up in the people, the places, the times, the events and the objects that you see in your life. And what you're doing then is you're constantly running around to find the next thing, to either love or be loved from. I'm not saying all people on the planet are doing this, but this is still a standard of humanity at this very moment. It is changing, however. It is changing. As more and more people are going to connect to their source of divinity, yet again, the Akonai and the Akenei are going to come into full bloom again, and the Akashic record will be deleted. That means, in fact, that what is happening here in the brain with the mental linear energy is not real. It is just illusion, because it isn't even attached to Source. It isn't even a part of Source, and that is why it is not total. And as such, it can create its opposite. Everything that isn't total is dual, and everything that is dual has its opposite, you see? Akeneic energy, since it is running through everything all at once, has no opposite. It just has two directions, or actually an endless set of directions. So, knowing all of this is a path to freedom. Because you see that this is the way that the supposed illusion of form and all the other solutions at that can be fixed. Again, it is not about throwing form away or neglecting it completely. It is about the fact that the mind has installed in the notion of form separation, and that you are somewhere stuck in that form, and that you need to be found to be taken out of it. And as the Akash is going to be deleted, you will see the true meaning of the memory of the now. You remember you remember the Akene, your own heart, and then at the back of the brain, the heart of all things, and then in the top of the head, in the third brain, the memory of the now. The memory of the now is not a memory of separation. The memory of the now, actually, will do something quite different to you than you are at this moment thinking. Up until this point, I, Ekara, and all the others have always told you that the memory of the now was only going to be important insofar as you were living each now moment, and that it would allow you to recognize and temporarily define an object while at the same time keeping it non-defined. Once this total akenaic energy is going to flow through you, you are going to find that everything around you is going to be in a constant state of non-definition. And that you are even no longer going to have the ability to define something. Because let us look at the definition of definition. What is the definition of defining something? It is actually taking this aspect of akenaic energy out of the loop and adding only this reality once more onto itself, but then the complete and exact opposite of that. That is definition. It is taking the Akashic record and creating the exact opposite of the very same Akashic record. Because to have a chair, you need to have a non-chair. Otherwise, the concept of a chair cannot exist. In this platform of akenaic energy, there is no separation because the chair is total energy. And in total akenaic energy, you don't need to define anything because everything is in anything. And anything is in everything. It refers you back to the blank slate DNA that you have available. It is the blank slate DNA that takes the form and the separation actually away from your existence. Why? It's very simple again. Look at this. If you have the notion of a chair here in the 3D realm, and if you were to create the notion of a chair, and I'm just going to do this quickly here, in akenaic energy, that one chair here will not be stuck somewhere on the linear timeline, and you can never again leave it behind. This chair right here is finite, is defined as having coordinates within time and space, as such making it linear, and you can walk away from the chair. And you can actually go a very far way to get as far away from that chair as you can, depending on your fear or desire. But a creation within akenaic energy shows up throughout all that is, time and space. So the chair is actually sent back into time and at the same time sent forward into time. And it is everywhere. It is once again a total concept. So, as that happens, you need not define anything. Because definition is just about making things appear in one aspect, in one point of you, as Jeshua said, instead of the point of view in the 3D world. And then, if you really want to know the flow of akenaic energy, then you need to understand that it is not linear at all as such, but that in effect the flow of akanaic energy does this. Can get to that point? I didn't draw it correctly, but you know what I mean. The flow of akanaic energy is anywhere at any given point. And it is constantly present, and it is ever expanding. The divine is so total that in its totality is included its expansion. The dualistic is so empty that in its emptiness is defined its own separation, and in the end its own death. So this then is what you need to know about the mechanics of separation. Again, separation is the biggest tool of the mind. But the separation is not coming from the things that you see around you. It is about the original separation, or as your Bible says, the supposed original sin, that you would have separated from God. Always makes me laugh. That you would have separated from the divinity. And that is what the authentic separation is all about. So, Imzaia, knowing all of this now, then who are you feeling guilty towards? Yes, you. You are feeling guilty towards yourselves because you have lost touch with your original, authentic source of love. And you are actually suffering because of you. You are separating yourselves from you all the time. It always goes back to you. Always. You see? Knowing that the guilt is generated from you and is aimed towards you, you could ask yourself, how long are you going to keep that up? You could do it for a very long time, and you can hide yourselves in things and times and places and people and events. So you could hide yourself still for a very, very long time. But what is the point? You can keep looking for yourself and you can keep generating more separation. You can keep trying to separate yourself more and more and more by holding on to your past and by holding on to all the objects that you possess and to all the people that you supposedly possess and to all the animals that you supposedly possess. And as you add more possessions, as you try to possess more things or people or emotions, what you are basically doing is adding to your sense of separation. The more forms you try to add to your life, the more you are cutting away at yourself. It's so very clear and simple, yes. But you need to know the mechanics. And then you need to actually act upon it, because otherwise you're going to remain stuck forever. You are always one with that source. And it is that recognition that you no longer need to feel guilty about anything that is going to activate your mastery, that is going to allow you to start the process of moving higher and becoming more one. It's that simple. So separation ties into the knot, literally. It is at the center of the knot. And if you want to start untying that knot that you have made, that you feel so many times in your stomachs or in your backs, or wherever it is that you have pain or sadness, it is that knot, that guilt. Take away that, and everything starts to come loose. And that is what you basically want. That everything starts coming loose. But then again, if it starts to come loose and you start running around like a freak trying to hold everything together, again, that's just working against yourself. And that's what a lot of light workers and Imzaia and Shambra are doing today. They have taken the steps to untie the knot, and as it is coming loose, they are running around trying to keep it all together still, because they are afraid. And I believe from the heart that not many people who are experiencing the spirituality that is available on the planet today knew the depth of the impact it would have on them. But you're there now. You're experiencing the impact. Might as well make it work. Because again, in closing, I would like to say you are the first. You are the pioneer. The sooner that you untie the knot, the easier it will get for everybody. So stop separating from yourselves. Stop closing yourselves off. As you do, you just want more stuff to fill yourselves up with. And if you keep that thought deep in the center of your heart, then you will find that what you have heard now is an original thought. And this original thought is what you can use to manifest freedom from within. Beloved Imzaia, every time I feel like telling you that you are nearing the end of your journey, but you need to realize there is no end of the journey. There is a continuous expansion of energy, because that is total divinity. Continuous expansion in space where before there was no space. So understand that you can never have too little space. You always have what you need at hand if you just know how to reach within instead of reaching without. As we have now discussed separation, it will give us an opening to begin discussing more about the other illusions. And obviously, this doesn't mean that the topic of separation has been fully discussed, but you just got the basic insight into it so that you can follow as the rest of the illusions will be discussed and will be untied themselves. You will see each time how this connects again to separation. Now it is almost time to take all that knowledge and to erase it from your brain. Think back to the beginning of this Ekaraya, what was said about the neocortex and its power. It can create, but it leaves no traces of its creation once the now moment of creation is over. Do that. Create and leave no traces after the now moment, and you will always be free. That is the true act of love. It is there now, every heartbeat, every moment. But it never is there in the past. Because if love were to show up in the past, it would not be the love it is in the now. And love only knows one totality. So if you can manifest in your lives that you are only here now and you leave no trace in the past, which could show up as a longing or a desire for past energy or activity or people, or which could show up as a past emotion about a past event. If you do that, then you are continuously in love with all around you. And that is the Zen state of a true master. Walk well, my loves. Walk well. We will see each other again as we do meet each other eye to eye and heart to heart. Akene to akene. In love. Whenever you find the time to create me. That is how it works. That is how it works for you as well. So learn what you need to learn from the neocortex now. Take some time to integrate this. We are looking forward to all of you stepping into your new energy, free energy existence. From the heart of myself, Ekara, and my beloved ones, Adamus, Germain, Kutumi, Tobias, Satya, and so many others, I bring you infinity. I be love in you. See you later. And so,